Hi, everybody. I am live today with Anjali Varma. She is an online influencer and business coach for female entrepreneurs. She coaches small businesses on marketing, strategy, and branding to help them launch their new business or take their existing business to the next level. She hosts online courses, local and virtual mastermind groups, an online community, which is the Mompreneur Tribe Facebook group, a weekly Facebook Live show, and local meetups to connect, educate, and inspire female entrepreneurs. She's also a TV spokesperson appearing regularly on DC and Baltimore stations, including Fox 5 DC, WUSA 9, NBC4. She is also the owner of Kidville Bethesda, a children's franchise in downtown Bethesda. She holds an MBA from NYU Stern School of Business, as well as a BBA from the University of Michigan. You can find Anjali at anjalivarma.com and her Mompreneur Tribe Facebook group, and on Instagram and Twitter at Anj Varma. Welcome. I'm so happy
Sorry,
to
I sent
have
you the
here.
long bio. I didn't realize you were going to read it out loud.
It's okay. Actually, I was like, oh, this is great. And I don't know if we had connected before on the fact that I grew up in the DC area before moving to Denver.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I lived there from like age 8 to like 22.
So you're familiar with Bethesda?
Yes. Yep. I grew up on the Virginia side, but I am familiar with the Maryland side. So welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I would love to hear a bit more about when and why you started your businesses.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. So I did corporate marketing for many, many years. And then when I had like a 1.5-year-old or a 1-year-old, I, decided that I needed to make a switch. And I always had the entrepreneurial itch, but wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. Like I didn't have that aha moment or that big business idea. So I decided to go the franchise route originally because it gave me the opportunity to kind of be an entrepreneur, but leverage someone else's product, and have a toolbox already in place. So that's when I opened Kidville Bethesda 8 years ago. And so that's a retail brick and mortar location where we do classes and haircuts and birthday parties. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I started kind of as a side hustle, I guess, blogging and started a YouTube channel. And I really geared that towards mom entrepreneurs because so many people would ask me, how do you do it? How do you balance, owning a business with having children and I started doing it more to create a personal brand to drive awareness originally to my brick and mortar location. So getting on TV and blogging for the Washington Post and, doing some of these things. And now I've kind of created that, taken that to the next level by providing one-on-one coaching for women entrepreneurs and mastermind groups and online courses to help them, launch and grow their business.
Awesome. I love it. So tell me a bit more about what your business looks like now. So I know you're juggling two. What does that look like? How do you balance that?
I don't, I would say. Like I can try to say that I do and have all these great answers, but I think it's really hard to balance one business and your family. And then it's even harder to kind of do two. So I do a lot with scheduling as much as I can. So, I definitely schedule myself at the front desk at Kidville a couple of days a week to force myself to be there. And then I'll schedule pockets of time that are specific to coaching and or to all of the things that we need to do as entrepreneurs to grow ourselves, like taking my own courses. Or this morning I posted in my Facebook group about planting seeds and how planting seeds need to, those then help you get to the next opportunity. But if you don't kind of schedule time to send those emails and those follow-ups and, then none of those new opportunities can come. So for me, I try to schedule as much as I can. And I also realize that there will be some weeks when one business is more demanding than the other. So it's just a matter of kind of trying to nurture both.
Yeah. I mean, I notice this just with having one business, and I see it with a lot of my clients too, that struggle between the work that you have to do in your business, so directly for your clients or whatever those basic operations to like stay running are,
Yeah.
versus the growth opportunities and kind of like putting on that CEO hat and having that bigger vision. And I think that that is a really common struggle, especially for entrepreneurs who maybe aren't super new, but have kind of hit their stride and built up some momentum and success. That's kind of like the next level challenge. What advice do you have on figuring out, you said that you schedule it. What does that look like for you?
So that literally will be blocking off in my calendar time to sit down and creating a list of those people that I need to reach out to that I haven't. I know somebody in my group today posted, which I for a while was doing, where it's like one email a day. You just train yourself to do so that it's every day you're planting at least one seed, and it is just kind of part of your nature of your ongoing day.
Mm-hmm.
I also, you and I both have clients, and I think that, I started working with a business coach this year. So I think when you hit a certain point, I think it's also helpful to have somebody who is outside of your day-to-day weeds, helping you navigate the process on a larger scale, on a larger scope. So I think that's important as well. And then I think I'm kind of derailing off of what you asked me, but I will say that the other thing, which I'm huge on, is continually self-educating. Reading a lot and listening to podcasts and watching Facebook Lives. I think that all of those things help to remind you of the bigger picture and some of the other things that you need to be doing. And then it kind of forces you, or is more top of mind, so that you do start scheduling or doing it more often.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you have any book or podcast recommendations?
So I am reading Badass Your Brand right now, which is good. I'm big on, trying to create a course right now on personal branding. And I speak a lot on building a personal brand and how you create kind of like a magnetic personal brand. So I'm kind of doing a lot of research and learning, on branding specifically. So Badass Your Brand and, of course, Gary V's Crush It and Crushing It are great. And I love Marie Forleo TV and podcasts. I love the Social Media Examiner and Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income too.
Great. I love those. Well, I feel like these are like we have some overlaps and some that I haven't heard of or maybe haven't just checked out yet.
Yeah.
So
I love resource sharing. Like I think there's so many good things out there, and it's only possible to know about so many. So at the end of, I do like a monthly meetup, and at the end of my meetup, one of my favorite parts is everyone goes around the room and they share one resource that they are loving right now, whether it's a podcast or a website or a book. So that's how I actually learn about so many new things that are out there that I don't know about.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to start implementing this somehow. Maybe like a prompt in my Facebook group or something, but to get more sharing on it. Yeah.
It's a really good prompt in your Facebook group because people will come up with new things. I mean, I'm sure on a weekly basis, right? And then I started being much more diligent about listening to podcasts as a result of hearing all of these great ones that are out there that I just had never. And, when you're exercising or even driving the 5-minute shuttle, like it's, throwing that on instead of whatever, Radio Andy, which is my other secret guilty pleasure of all things Bravo. So depending on whether I want to learn or turn off, those are the two things I listen to.
Yes. Yes, so good. For a while there, was heavily into political podcasts, and I actually felt like it was derailing my business a bit to be so clued in. And that sounds awful. I mean, I still stay in the loop. I'm still trying to make a difference in the world, but really pulling out of those political podcasts that just got me riled up and didn't get me moving to do something and try to replace that time with something a little more positive and uplifting.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, my favorite one is the Life Coach School with Brooke Castillo. If you have not heard
Ooh,
that
I'm going
one,
to check that one
it's
out.
amazing. Yeah, I'm actually a student in her program um, because I think she's amazing, and I just want to like download everything she says into my own brain.
I love that. I'm going to check that one out.
Yeah. Well, what kinds of challenges have you faced? Obviously, multiple businesses and a family. I'm sure there have been some. So, how have you faced those and overcome them?
So I think originally, like with a brick and mortar, particularly, and having, like 25 employees and rent to pay. And one of the biggest challenges I had was learning how to turn off. I still think I'm trying to learn that. So just the stress and not bringing it home and always kind of being all consumed because our location is open 7 days a week. And, so it just comes with a whole host of other challenges. So I think that was one of the hardest things, and I'm still trying to learn that one. And then I think in this whole coaching online world, one of the biggest challenges I found, particularly in the beginning, was breaking through the clutter and being found and building a following. And again, that's still something, we're always all going to have to work on. But cracking the code in the online world has been, it's been full of challenges as well. And that's one of the reasons I kind of want to try to help people who are newer to it, try to figure it out, hopefully at a faster pace than I did.
Yeah, I feel like that is a big part of my mission and why I do what I do also. I think, I was about to ask you just kind of how somebody would know whether like a franchise or brick and mortar was better for them or doing an online business. And just as you were answering that, I was really reflecting on like the online business is so much easier to start, but I think probably harder to succeed with once it's actually started. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I love that. I've actually never thought about it that way. And I think that you're absolutely right. So, I mean, anybody can start a blog or not anybody. You have to have something, obviously, some value that you're providing to the universe. But yes, it's much easier to do that than to get a small business loan, negotiate a lease, like do all the moving parts that are related to actually opening a physical location, right? But then ongoing, it's such different worlds. But yes, ongoing, I think the online world is so noisy and there's so many people out there, and not having like locale or community, there is so many opportunities for community, but you have to know how to build them and you have to know how to attract followers and viewers in an entirely different way than if you have a storefront on a street corner.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it almost feels more personal too. I feel like my own mindset and personal growth is just like the most important thing to maintain and manage in my business.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, this is like a generalization, I feel like, but like watching like Kitchen Nightmares and that kind of thing. I love those shows. Like, I feel like some of these people are train wrecks and they have these businesses. And I just feel like if I am like slightly off vibe one day, that hurts me, let alone being a total train wreck, like Kitchen Nightmares.
Right. No, totally. And it's so different though, when you're reporting just to your own clients and or yourself. You have to show up in a different way, which is still tough to do, versus like having employees and customers who are kind of coming through your door all the time. So yeah. I like to say they're both amazing and I've learned so much in both, but they are absolutely different. But I think I take learnings from one and apply them to the other. So
yeah. Well, I know that I don't usually have people with brick and mortar stores or locations on this. So I would love if you had any advice to share with people who either have one or are hoping to start one soon.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think one, figuring out how to keep your overhead really low is huge. So you need to know that going in when you're looking at negotiating your lease, looking at square footage, go as small as you can. And when you're doing all of your setup, you want to be mindful, your build out costs. And then that kind of translates also into you should plan on being there all the time in the beginning because you need to learn all of the functions. And no one is going to be an expert until you're the expert and you can help to train, right? And so, and at any moment, you may have to jump in to do something. Like I like to say, I am the custodian and the front desk person. And, you know, like I tried to be the plumber this weekend. I didn't do so good with that. So, you know, learning all the functions of your business are super important, particularly in the beginning. And that also helps to keep your overhead low because you're doing a lot of the roles instead of outsourcing them to somebody else. So I think starting off, those are all really important. And I think, you know, one of the awesome things about having a brick and mortar is that you get to interact with people all day long, face to face, which I feel like we don't do enough of. So I think that is kind of actually a nice thing. So yeah. I say go for it. Just be mindful of your expenses and you know, like do a lot of your homework going into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes from getting that like business financing or whatever as you go into it.
Yes.
There's a lot to that.
I know. And try to be as efficient as possible. And, you know, the less debt, the better.
Yes.
Going in, right?
Yes. Okay. Well, I know that you have to run off to mom duties very soon. Yeah. So I would love for you to be able to share how people can contact you if they want to know more and how they can work with you.
Sure. So they can find everything at anjalivarma.com. And I have a Mompreneur Tribe Facebook group where, you know, we just share, collaborate. I will do prompts or a lot of motivational posts to kind of guide you in the right direction. And I do one-on-one coaching and virtual masterminds as well. And I'm launching a new course. So if anyone's interested, it's how to discover your authentic premium niche. I think that's what we called it. So it's an online boot camp. It's very condensed where it's just like 1 week where we're doing 2 sessions and then an implementation week a couple weeks later. So we get into a Zoom room and take people through exercises to help them find their niche and then figure out your marketing messaging based on that niche. So we just finished up like a pricing boot camp, how to find your premium value and how to charge what you're worth. And so, yeah, so this is kind of a next step. You don't have to have taken the first one to take this one, but
awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
love
that's
those
all on my
boot
site
camp
as well.
things. Great. All right. And I will be sure to add that into the description of this so people can check that out there. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your wisdom with us and fitting this into your busy day. I really appreciate it. And I feel like
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for letting me kind of share with your audience. I love Facebook Live.
Me too. And I love your background. I was going to say that earlier, but I've been mesmerized.
Oh, thank you. I put this wallpaper up in my office very recently because, you know, I'm, like I said, I'm all about personal branding, and this is my branding colors. So it's my backdrop whenever I do Facebook Lives, or, you know, it just kind of wraps everything up in a nice bow.
Yes. Yeah, I've been wanting to get well, you can't see much of me here, but I've been wanting to get a new painting. I did this when I was like 12 years old. So it's time for something new.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like when you're doing these I try to move my background some too, but when you're doing it, you want to like make your background nice, you know, and on brand basically. So
yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.